Perfect. All right, and looks like our notice is coming up that we are recording today's session. So just so everybody's aware, we are going to go ahead and do that. That way we've got a link that we can send out to you after the fact. So if you need to come back and refer to some of the conversation today, you're more than welcome to do that. So feel free, you can go ahead and click continue to get rid of that box there. And we will go ahead and start our program for today. So welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Janine Lincoln-Hoker, and I am the training coordinator for the Office of the University Bursar. And you are here today for a Workday leader onboarding training. So we're going to take the next hour or so here today, myself and Rachel Schrock, who I'll let introduce herself in just a moment. The goal of this session, friends, today is to kind of give you a high-level overview of Workday. So the idea here is on day one in January, when we go live with this Workday tool, we want you to know what you can expect, okay? And put some resources in your hands and help you kind of figure out how to navigate Workday, both as a leader as well as an employee of the university as well. So if you have questions, if there's things that we're talking about today that you have questions about, just know that your senior HR business partner, your HR business partner, or your college or unit fiscal leader is here to help you with those questions. The idea here today is just to kind of give you the high level, the high touch kind of side of things, so that way you understand what's going to be happening. I'm going to flip over my screen here really quick. And I'm going to turn it over to Rachel just briefly to introduce herself, and then I'm going to take the first portion of our session, and she's going to take the second half of our session, and we will get you out of here hopefully right around 3 o'clock.
Yes, thank you, Janine. So like she said, my name is Rachel Schrock. I am the lead fiscal officer in the College of Arts and Sciences. Been very involved in Workday training, specifically more in the fiscal and purchasing aspects of Workday, but getting excited to see it go live here in, well, we're a couple weeks at this point. Doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. So we do also have a couple of other facilitators on the call. Shayla is here with us as well as Bonnie Benson. Shayla and Bonnie will both be checking the chat today, friends. So if you have any questions that you would like to have addressed today during the session, you are welcome to go ahead and drop those in the chat. If you're brave and you want to unmute yourself and want to have a conversation with us, you're welcome to do that as well. But did want to let you know that that Shayla and Bonnie are monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them there as well. Okay. Oops, too far. So let's talk about our objectives today. Again, here today, we're really focused on making sure that you walk away from this session with a high level of understanding of what's going to be happening with Workday and how you specifically, as a leader, will be using the system, okay? We're also going to talk about, I know many of you have your admins on the call with you today. We're also going to be talking about what others can do on your behalf in Workday as well. So what they can be doing in that sort of delegate role on your behalf. And then kind of an idea about what to expect from Workday at a high level when we go live, and then also beyond that as well. Okay. So first of all, we're going to cover just briefly what Workday is. We're going to give you a kind of a short demo and kind of walk you through how Workday functions as a system. I'm just kind of curious if you've got your video on and kind of want to show of hands, how many people have actually seen Workday before, like the insides of Workday, the system itself? Okay. Kind of yes, no, maybe some of it's brand new for us. Okay, so today you're going to get a first look, and we're going to do kind of a deeper dive and navigate around parts of the system, so you actually get to see it today. We're going to talk about the role of what's going to be called in Workday your managerial liaison. Okay, so the person, you would probably know them as your admin or your executive assistant, what they can do on your behalf in the system. We're going to be talking a little bit about purchasing and travel. We're going to be talking about what your responsibilities as an approver in Workday are. So you will have some actions that need to happen by you in Workday. We're going to talk a little bit about reporting. We're also going to talk about how to get help. And then last but not least, we're going to close our session today with just a brief mention of how best to lead through change. You know, this is going to be a big change coming for a lot of us at the institution. It's been 20 years since we've done any updates to our financial systems. It's been almost that long for any of our HR updates. So this is going to be a big change, and it's going to affect all of us at the university, and definitely those people who support you in the HR and the fiscal space. So we just want to talk a little bit about what to expect from that change. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what Workday is. Surprise, it's coming. If you haven't gotten those emails yet, it's coming. Just to kind of recap, though, we want to talk a little bit about the system as a whole. So this is basically going to be the new cloud-based system that we are bringing online to replace our finance system, our supply chain system, our HR system, and our payroll system. Okay, and down the road a ways, if you are in a space that supports students, it will also then be replacing our student system as well. Okay, where we're housing all of that data. What's good about Workday is that it's going to allow us to automatically update twice per year. So because it's on the cloud-based model, okay, we can access it anywhere. It will update twice a year. Like I mentioned, it's been 20 years since we've done any significant updates to our financial system, for example. So this is going to be a big win for us. It's mobile friendly, so you'll be able to take it on the go with you. If you want to download an app and do things on the go, you can do that, and it's designed for that purpose. Another really big win that we're going to get out of Workday is our ability to look at data and analyze data, especially in real time. Okay, so if you have any familiarity with financial reports, for example, a lot of those are static. We get them once a month, and it's hard to tell in sort of the real time what's happening with our financial state. So this is going to give us a lot of improved data quality. We're going to be able to get some fancy tools out to visualize that data and be able to just make decisions faster, okay, informed decisions based on data. So that's going to be a really big win for us. And then last but not least, we're looking at bigger visibility across the institution. So right now, things between HR and finance, the student space, it seems very siloed because it is. Workday all being on one system in the future state, that's going to give us the ability to look at things a lot more cross-functionally. Okay, so we have something happening in HR that's impacting finance, for example. We'll have a lot more visibility into those things. Okay. Many of the systems that we use today at the university for some of these administrative tasks, they're listed here, for example. All of these systems are going to be going away. Okay, and all of these kind of common functions here, buying a stapler, viewing your paycheck, checking your travel request, all of those things are going to happen in Workday in the future state. So if you know e-request, if you know the e-leave system, so forth and so on, those are all being retired, and we're going to move all of that process into Workday. So just so you're aware of that, those are some of the common things we're looking at here. Okay. I touched a little bit on reporting already, but I just want to kind of re-emphasize that you as a leader are likely, getting reports from your fiscal, your administrative team, your HR teams. Maybe it's happening once a month. Maybe you're getting them on paper. Okay. In future state, you will now have the ability, if you choose to go into the system and pull those reports yourselves. Okay, so you'll have the ability to access all the same data that we do in the administrative spaces. So that's going to be really nice. You'll get things like the monthly performance report this way. It will be dynamic. So as transactions are happening in real time, you'll be able to rerun reports and see those new changes that are made to the data as well. Some of the systems we're using today to help with reporting, like eReports and BuckIQ, those are going to retire in favor of what's happening here in Workday. Okay, so just know it's going to be a lot more dynamic, and you're going to get a lot more visibility and ability to make decisions based on data in the future state, which is great. Other notable change that I want to point out for you here is that pay practices are going to change a little bit, and these pay practices are specifically going to affect our biweekly staff. Okay, the overtime policy at the university has changed a little bit. Premium pay rate standardization, any sort of comp time payout after 365 days, those things are all going to affect our biweekly staff, and we want to make sure that you're aware of those. Okay, so those are some other big changes coming as well. Talk a little bit about launch timeline. If you have people that support you in the HR and the fiscal space right now, if they're running around looking kind of frazzled, this is why. January 3 is when HR goes live, and then January 7 is when the supply chain and the finance side of the house goes live. Coming down the road a little ways, in June of 2023, the student planned rollout will start as well. Okay, so I'm looking frazzled now. I'm going to look really frazzled in June of 2023 when the student stuff comes out. Okay, so just be mindful of that. The big impact points for us right now are in January. Okay, We're going to now take a step out into Workday, and I want to show you what the system looks like. I want to help you get navigating out in the system so you can at least get a first look of what the system is going to look like. While I'm setting this up and moving over to the web browser, are there any questions at this point about what to expect kind of high level with the system, what it does, reporting functionality, that kind of stuff? Feel free, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to do that while I get this set up here really quick.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yeah, Latonia.
Yes. In terms of the notifications that we will see in Workday, is there a way to route them to our inbox of our mailbox? Or do we have to physically log into Workday in order to see that stuff?
Good question. So there are many tasks that happen in Workday that you will also get email notification for as well. All right. So not every single thing is going to have an email notification associated with it, but there are some key things that absolutely you'll get pinged in your email Outlook inbox about. Okay. Bonnie or Shayla, can you guys give an example of what one of those items might be that would ping your Outlook inbox?
If it's something that requires approval and goes into your Workday inbox, then it will go into your Outlook inbox, but it'll just come through once. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but you'll want to, whenever you get a Workday item, know that it's something that you actually have to do. It's not just a nice to know. The nice to knows are notifications, and you won't get Workday, or you won't get Outlook inbox items from those, because those are just nice to knows, general info of things that have happened in your world or around you.
Okay. And we'll take a look at both the notifications and the inbox here in just a minute in the system. Okay. So great question. Thank you for asking that. Okay, well, welcome to Workday, friends. I hope I'm showing you my Workday screen on behalf of Mark Jones. Okay, Rachel's nodding at me. That's a good thing. So I just want to kind of take a minute and orient you to what you're seeing. Okay, so a couple of things have happened before this, okay, namely that I have already logged into the system. So what you did not see me do is that when we go live, we'll have a landing page on the OSU website. It'll be workday.osu.edu, okay. I will click on that link. I will log in with my name, number, and password. I will also use my Duo device, okay, to dual authenticate into the system because this will require two-factor authentication. Okay, and then I will land here on this homepage. Now, I am in a test environment today, okay? What this means is that I am pretending to be somebody else. So I am, in this case, Mark Jones. And Mark Jones is a leader, okay, a department leader in the College of Business, our fictional College of Management and Business, okay? So just so you know, what we're going to be looking at today is basically what his account is going to look like in Workday. He's not a real person. I want to be clear about that, that our friend Mark is a made-up person, and the actions we're going to be taking on his account today are purely synthetic. They're purely fake, okay? But it kind of, what it does here is it's going to give you the kind of feel for what some of the things that you as a leader might be doing in Workday, okay? So let's talk a little bit about it. Welcome to the homepage, first of all. I want to just point out here that you're going to see your name when you log in here. It'll say welcome Latonia, or it'll say welcome Bonnie, or welcome Rachel, for example. There will be announcements here on the homepage that you can look at in this lovely little tile. You'll see here we have this one as a training environment, so you'll see here that it's telling us that. You're going to see a tile or a kind of a pane here for applications. Okay, so a lot of the commonly used applications that we use in Workday are going to show up here. This is customizable. Okay, so you'll have the ability to customize this. You can use this little gear up here for that purpose. Down here, we also have a copy of our inbox, and we'll talk about the Workday inbox here shortly. Now, if you play around in PeopleSoft at all in current state, you'll know that navigating around in that system is very menu driven, right? So you have to go to a navigation path. You have to go to a certain page to get to another page to get to another page. In Workday, Workday is very search driven. Okay, so it's keyword driven. This is the search box associated with that. Okay, and you can type in any kind of task here. You can type in a report here, and that will kick you back some search results to where you can start taking action on items in the system. Okay, so just know that the search bar is up here. This white kind of rectangular box that goes all the way across here, friends, we're going to call this the header today. Okay, so this is the header. So continuing on with our little tour, okay, we have the search box here. If you want some shortcuts, okay, if you want to build shortcuts into your Workday account, okay, and so some of the commonly used things, you can click on this little icon here that's got the 4 little squares. What this will do is allow you to add shortcuts to your Workday homepage, okay? All I have to do, very simple, is click on the edit button here, and I can tell the system what I want to add for shortcuts. Now, we have a couple of different choices. We can have shortcuts to what are called external links. A good example of this might be the task, TASC, the flexible spending account, the HRA or the FSA web page. That would be a good example of an external link, somewhere that's going to link us out to a different website. We also have here the option to add a task or a report. So this might be something that's internal to Workday. Okay, so here might be something like, if I, for example, in my space, I am supporting units that create invoices for receivables and things like that. Maybe I want to have a shortcut to that on my page. So really quick, I just want to show you, okay, what adding an external link would look like. So when we navigate here, you'll notice, friends, if I click on the box, it's going to ask me, okay, do you want to look at all things or default items? I'm going to just say all here. And you can kind of scroll through and say, okay, what am I looking to add for my shortcut here? Alternatively, what you can do is come down to the search box and say, well, I know I want the flexible spending account or the HRA page. I can just start typing here too and hit enter. And it's going to say, I know you want the flexible spending account or the HRA. Okay, so a couple different ways we can do this. All I have to do to add my shortcut is then add it here. We can, if I have my 3 little dots here, I can add one or above or one or below. I can also remove this one if I choose to. Okay, but I'm just going to go ahead and say okay here. The system's going to give me a lovely little notice that says my changes have been saved. And then I can come up here and we see my flexible spending account page is saved here. This little icon over here on the right tells me that this is going to take me out to an external link, okay, another website, different web page. The other thing that's showing up in this little area of Workday is my most used apps. Okay, so these are the things that I have clicked on most often in the system. Depending on what kind of actions you regularly take, these could change. Okay, and the idea here is to just kind of give you quick access to these. One of the nice things about stuff that lives here in the header is that this is available on every single page in Workday. So even if I'm deep down in the system and I'm doing some sort of transactional item, if I know I want to come back to one of my shortcut pages, for example, or a most used app, all I have to do is click on this and it's right here at my fingertips, which is nice. Okay. All right, moving on to the right of our lovely little shortcuts here. This little bell-shaped icon, very similar to what a lot of us see in social media accounts, right? Kind of serves the same purpose here in this space as well. This is what we call notifications. So when Shayla was mentioning earlier that there are some things in the system that are nice to knows, okay, so things you do not have to take action on. That's what's going to live as a notification in the system. Okay, so I'm going to click on these. I want to show you what these look like. These are not, Latonia, going to give you any sort of ping in the Outlook inbox. Okay, these are just nice to knows. So examples of things that might live here include, hey, you might want to know about Kennedy Flynn's compensation change, for example. There's no action required by you, but the system has said, you may want to be aware of this. I went through here last time I was in here and I printed off a copy of my payslip, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It ran in the background for a couple of minutes and then pinged me and said, hey, this is ready to print now. Okay, so that's another good example of something that would be considered a notification. Okay. When I'm done with a notification, if I just click on this little blue circle next door to it, I can click on that and that is going to say, yes, I've marked it as read. You'll notice here then my little orange icon with the number in it has gone down. Okay, so this tells me that I only have 9 notifications I haven't read yet as opposed to 10. Okay, so that's our notifications. Now, oh, here, a couple other things. So you'll notice here that my notifications are from the last 30 days. Okay, so the system's going to hold here for the last 30 days, my most recent, if you will, notifications. I do have some sorting and filtering capabilities as well. Okay, so I can if I only care about the stuff that's unread, I can filter based on my unread notifications. I can also look at things by newest or oldest on top. Okay. You can see I can mark everything as read. I can also refresh this page as well. So we have some options here as far as sorting and filtering capabilities go. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here in my top left-hand corner. My block O always takes me home. So no matter where I am in the system, just like if you're on a website, a lot of times we'll do this too. If you click in the block O on the top left, that's always going to take me home. Okay. So we've talked about quick access, we've talked about notifications. Let's talk for a minute about inboxes. Okay. The inbox, this is the stuff to do. Okay. These are the items that are going to hit your radar and things you must take action on. Okay. Again, same idea here with the notifications. The orange number here is going to tell you how many things are in your inbox that require your attention. Okay. Similar though to the notifications, you see things are set up here so that you can see them right away. What I like about the inbox is that I can take action on an item directly from the inbox, oftentimes. Okay. So you'll notice here, for example, this first one that's sitting in my inbox for my attention is that my colleague, okay, or somebody that reports to me, Michael Prescott, he is requesting to buy something. And it looks like he's looking to request some new photocopiers, for example. Okay. We see how much that's for, how many he wants to buy, so forth and so on. Okay. So you can come in here and say, do we like this? Great, we'll approve it. Okay, maybe we're not sure, we need some more information. We can always send that back to my friend Michael for additional information. Maybe you don't feel like this should be coming to you and you want to add another approver, you can do that too. Okay. You also have a couple of additional options here. You can deny something or cancel it as well. Although I will say if you choose one of these two options, if you don't like it, if you need more information, maybe just go with the send back option and tell Michael what you need from him. Okay, taking one of these two actions, denying something or canceling it, is basically it's gonna kill the whole transaction. Okay, it's just going to completely stop and it will delete it like it never existed in the first place. So just be careful about what you select here. Okay. But what you get here is kind of an idea of what kinds of things are going to be living in the inbox. A lot of these items that come to your inbox should be pinging you in your Outlook as well. And to Shayla's point earlier, you'll get the one notification and that's it. Also very important to note, friends, with the inbox, if something requires your attention, you need to do something with it. Otherwise, the process is going to stop. Okay, so in current state, if you think about where we are today, there are some things that require your approval, but maybe there are workarounds, right? Where somebody else can keep things going, moving along until you can get to it. Here in Workday, okay, systematically, the entire process will stop in some cases, unless you approve it. So just be mindful of this inbox, what's moving through here, and keep your attention on this regularly because it's going to be important for that purpose. Okay. So that is the inbox piece. Just like with our notifications, okay, we can see what's current here. You can star things if you'd like to, if you want to favorite them. So, and then you can say, now I want to go look at my favorite tasks. Maybe you have, 6 things you want to do on Tuesday morning and you favorite them. That way you can just come back and look at the favorites, for example. You can go back and look at things that are overdue, for example. Whoops. We can look at, again, oldest and newest and things that are due the soonest. You can sort by that as well. And then you can also take a look in your archive as well. So if there are things that you have taken action on that you want to go back and check on, for example, you can go into your archive for that purpose. Darla has a great question. If you have something waiting for someone else's approval, can you see when it's stuck? And Shayla said, yes, you can. Okay. So yes, you can absolutely. Workday has a lot of transparency in that process. Okay, so you can actually see when something else is stuck. Latonia, I see a hand raised. What's happening? What can we help you with?
Thank you, Janine. I just had a quick question about backup approvers.
Sure.
Say, for example, I have a biweekly employee who, for whatever reason, may have been late in getting their time submitted. And, the clock is running out. And say I'm in the middle of a meeting approaching the deadline. Is that backup approver still available in the system, or does that automatically just stop at me and the person would be at risk if I can't get to that in time?
Shayla, Bonnie, can I ask you to weigh in on that, please.
Shayla, do you want to take this one or do you want me to?
I was going to say I'm not sure of that one. So if you have an answer, that'd be great.
Yeah. So if you have a manager liaison approver, that person can also approve things on your behalf. But that's the only person that would be available to do that approval on your behalf.
And Latonia, we'll talk about that role here and shortly. Okay, so we're going to talk about these manager liaison roles. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, friends, is the kind of overview on our inbox piece. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know what this looked like and sort of emphasize the fact that what's sitting here requires your attention, and please take timely action on those. Otherwise, you could run into situations where things are getting stopped up at your desk virtually. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back up here home again to my block O. A couple of other things that I want to just point out to you briefly here. I want to talk about how to find your org chart in Workday. Okay, so one of the things that I think is really cool about Workday is I can actually see where I sit within the organization. Okay, if you like Find People and you use Find People a lot as a resource in current state, I think you're also really going to like the supervisory org chart. So in order to get to it, I'm going to click on this little icon here that says My Team on the applications. And I'm going to click over here into the View My Org Chart. Okay, it's at the top right here. Okay. Now, not only can we see a person, okay, we can also see who all reports to this person. Don't panic, Mark is a fake user. He doesn't actually have 145 people who report to him, I promise. But you can kind of get a look and feel here for where people sit within the organization. So who reports to you? Okay, if they have people who report to them, that's what these little numbers tell you, is how many people report to them. Okay, and you can kind of get a look and a feel for how that is going to shake down. Okay, so you can go above you, you can go underneath you, you can go kind of side to side from you and kind of get a feeling for where people sit within the organization. So like I said, if you like Find People, this is like Find People had a birthday and got some new functionality, and now we have this ability to do that as well. So that's the org chart. I just wanted to mention that briefly. Let's talk about pay here for a second. So when Workday rolls out, okay, one of the things that all of us are probably going to want to do pretty soon after we log in is find our own paycheck. Okay. In Workday world and Workday terms, a paycheck is going to be called a pay slip. So if you're hearing that terminology in the future, pay slip is the term that Workday calls a paycheck. Super easy to get to. Again, straight off the applications on our home page. I'm going to click on the little pay icon. Okay. And you see the system is going to populate some data for me here. Okay, notice up here in the top left in this tile here, this is showing my most recent pay slips. So the last 1, 2, maybe 3 paychecks are going to be listed here. Okay, again, this is fake data, so not a lot here to look at right now, but it kind of gives you an idea about what that looks like. If you want to take a look at pay slips prior to Workday go live, okay, so anything from 2020 or earlier than that, you'll be able to click on this little icon over here on the right that says pay slips prior to 2021. And you can grab that information here. One of the other things we're going to be doing relatively quickly after go live is we're going to need our W-2s for tax purposes. So in order to get that data, okay, again, we'll come out to this pay screen and we can click on our tax documents prior to tax year 2021. Okay, after 2021, so next year, for example, if we want to see tax docs, we can get out here and look at them in the regular tax document section as well. Okay. Just wanted to show you the pay section of Workday so you had an idea about what that looks like. You have the option to print or quote unquote print your pay slip as well. This will generate a PDF of your pay slip. Okay, so it'll look very similar, you know, look and feel wise to what you're seeing today in current state for a paycheck. All right, so that is pay. Real quick, because I know we're pushing on time here, I want to do a couple more things in the demo and then we'll move on. So requesting time off. Not only are we going to want to take a look at our pay, but a lot of times we're going to be needing to take time off as well. So just kind of a high level demo on that. Again, I come back home, click on my block O up here at the left. super simple to do that as well. I come to the absence button here, okay, the application, and I click on the little suitcase. And that is going to take me here where I can request an absence in the top left tile here. So I want to take some time off. What I like about Workday for this is it gives me the nice calendar right here in front of me, okay? So I can see what university holidays are already being observed, for example, if I need to take time off before or after. Super simple. I click on a couple of days. Maybe I want to take the week between Christmas and New Year off, right? And then all I do is click on my button that says request absence. Okay. Now, my friend Mark Jones is a little out of luck because he has no vacation time to take here, okay? Over here on the left is where all of your balances are going to exist, okay, for your time off. My friend Mark doesn't have any time off right now for vacation, but he does have sick time, parental time, and FMLA time. The other nice thing here, friends, too, that you can see is your balances as of a certain date. So the system will calculate into the future as well. So as of July of 2021, if I want to know how much time off I'm going to have, Workday will make those calculations for me based on how often I accrue vacation time, for example. So I have that flexibility to do that. If I click on this button down here and I request my absence, I can click on this in this search box. I tell it I want to take some time off. My friend Mark doesn't have any vacation, but maybe I'll say he's going to take some sick time, some pre-scheduled sick time. We would go ahead and click next. Okay. Make sure that this looks good. Okay. If I want to edit my quantity per day, I can do that. Maybe it's going to be 8 hours. Okay. And then all I have to do then is submit it. Now, when I submit this, okay, it will route just like it does in current state for review and approval by somebody else. Okay. And for that person, that would be an inbox item that comes their way for review and approval. I'm not actually going to submit this today, friends. I just wanted you to kind of get a sense of what this looked like and how this behaved in the system, but that's kind of how the process is going to work. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and discard these changes.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure. Don.
I'm playing with the version you guys said we could access on my second screen.
Mhm.
It is really cool that you could calculate.
Yeah.
But normally and maybe this is because it hasn't been updated in a while, I just asked for vacation time off and it's not showing it. Is that just because this is just a practice place and it hasn't updated? It normally would, right? Show
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That,
Yep.
you know, that hasn't gone yet. And okay, good.
Yeah, and to that point, Don, I think just so you know, what's going to happen next is when you click on that submit button, basically it's going to show up on that calendar you're looking at. There'll be like a little gray bar at the top. It'll say vacation requested. Once that's been approved, then that flips over from gray or pending, all right, to approved, and it'll be green.
Oh,
and
okay.
there's like a nice sort of visual representation that tells you when it's
in eLeave right now, when I look at the calendar, it does show me that, and then it shows me all of my staff that have time off. Is this going to do that as well?
Great segue. So let's talk about how you can see, okay, what's happening with your team, so the people you manage. So again, I've come back home, block O on the top left, okay. I have another little application on my dashboard here for time and absence, okay. So I'm going to click on that. This is where you can manage your team, okay, and what your team is seeing or what your team has submitted for you. For example, if you have people who have approved time off coming up around the holidays is a great example of that. You can see who has time scheduled off. If you have people who are on family medical leave or any kind of specialized leave, you'll be able to see who's coming back this week, who's currently on leave. If you are in a role where you are approving time off for people, you can see who has time off that requires your attention. Again, just like with your inbox, okay? You can also see them here in the time and absence dashboard. So if I click on this item here, this will tell me here, okay, who's requested time off, what date they submitted that information, the type of leave that it is, and the hours, number of hours they've requested. Anywhere that's blue hyperlinks, okay, I can click on this item here, friends, and drill in a little further as well to get some additional information. So in order to approve a request from here, I would need to drill into this process, this business process a little bit more until I got to the place where I could review and approve it. Okay. Or alternately, you can come out to your inbox for that purpose. So that is a great example of the time and absence dashboard. So if you want to take a look at what your teams are doing, people you manage from a time off perspective, okay, this is a nice dashboard for that view. Okay, so great question, Don. Nice segue into our conversation. Last but not least, friends, one last thing I want to mention to you, because we were talking about notifications earlier, inbox, email notifications. How do we set those notifications and those preferences around some of those notifications? Maybe you find that you're getting these too much and it's driving you crazy, and you don't want them to come immediately. Maybe you don't want to get them at all. Maybe you only want to get them once a day. How do I change those items? In order to do that, okay, again, I went back home, block O on the left. I come over here to my little cloud. Okay, this little blue cloud is my profile in Workday. If I click here and I click on my little cloud icon that says my profile, this is going to show me, okay, what my job looks like, what my compensation looks like, and so forth. Today, from a preferences standpoint, what I want to show you is how to adjust those preferences. So if I come here to this little button that says actions underneath my name and my position title, this will allow me to take some actions on my own account. If I scroll down here a ways toward the bottom, you can see this little piece here under favorites that says preferences. I'm going to go ahead and edit my preferences. And this is going to allow me to maybe look at some of the notifications that I'm getting. So you'll notice here a lot of these are around notifications. You can see what kind of channels they're associated with. So what modules of Workday, if you will, that these notifications are associated with. The one that we care about for today's purposes, friends, is this one under business processes. Okay, so for example, here on Mark's account, by default, it's set to notification frequency of immediately. If I want to change that, I just click on the little hamburger icon over here on the right. And I can say, no, I don't want to get these immediately. Maybe I would rather get them daily, for example. So I get them all bundled up in a nice little neat email package that comes to my inbox once a day, usually 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So this is where the part of the system where you would come to adjust these notifications. Okay. And there's a lot of them here, but the ones that we really care about for today's purposes are going to live under this business process section. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. I'm going to go ahead and close out a Workday. So there you have it, your kind of first look and feel at Workday for many of you. I hope you found it helpful. Just wanted to kind of give you an idea about how that process was going to work, okay, and what the system is going to look like. All right, let me swing back over to the presentation momentarily. Alrighty. Real quick, friends, before I turn it over to Rachel, I just want to talk to you a little bit about this manager liaison role in Workday. So first thing that I want to explain to you is that this manager liaison term, that's a term that's Workday specific. Okay, so this is describing a security role within Workday. There are two roles that can exist here. Okay, one is called the manager liaison initiator. The other one is the manager liaison approver. Okay, basically what the initiator can do is that they can do what is listed here on the screen. Essentially, they can start things on your behalf. So if you are the leader, you have a manager liaison initiator. A lot of times this is going to be your executive assistant or your administrative assistant. Here are some transactions in Workday that they can initiate on your behalf. So for example, if you need to hire somebody new, they can initiate a job requisition. If you need to have them work through the new hire onboarding process from a system perspective, they can help with that. Anytime somebody is voluntarily leaving their position, they can help initiate that termination or that separation from the university. If there's compensation changes or one-time payments that need to occur to an employee, your initiator can assist with that as well. Same thing with leaves of absences. They can do what's called a period pay activity or period activity pay. So what this is basically payment for activity that happens within a set period of time. They can help initiate and monitor those for you. A good example of this, friends, if you are in a space that supports graduate students or graduate assistants, GAs, the way that they're going to get paid is through a period pay activity. Okay. And then same thing with appointing a professor to a chair. So those are all things that your manager liaison initiator can do for you. If you are an admin on the call, it's likely that you are in a scenario like this, okay, or in a security role in Workday that's similar to this. Now, the other side of the coin here is this manager liaison approver role. Okay, so if you are a manager liaison initiator, you cannot also be a manager liaison approval. Okay, this role, okay, this approver role, not every unit has elected to have one of these. Okay, some units will, some units will not. The big difference between the initiator and the approver is that the approver can handle these functions for you or on your behalf. They can approve time off, they can correct time on your behalf. Okay. This person, whoever this approver is going to be, this needs to be somebody with what's called signature authority in the college. Less formally, this is known as approval authority. So basically with this group, okay, this person needs to be in a situation where they can say no. They also need to be in a position where they can escalate, okay, and question if things are maybe not looking appropriate. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of the difference between the two, the initiator and the manager liaison approver.
A quick question on this. Can the approver also handle purchase request approvals and travel approvals?
Great question. Bonnie, Shayla, can I get one of you to weigh in on that? Or Rachel, if you want to weigh in as well.
So I can share the manager liaison approver is only for HR transactions. They would need a separate security role to be able to approve any kind of fiscal transactions. Does that kind of answer the question?
I guess so. So it's possible. We have to do extra work to get that person.
You'd have to talk. You'd have to talk with your college about who they have set up in your security roles. Typically, I can know in our college we set up what are called backup department leaders. So they have people, so someone else could approve at that case. But every college is set up differently, and if Bonnie or someone else wanted to jump in, they can. But I can tell you, manager liaison is HR only, and you would have to have a separate security role to do the purchasing and travel piece.
What was the specific name of
That's
that?
correct, Rachel.
So you would be
That
set up as
security role?
as I say, you are set up as a department leader, is what your security role is called.
Right, but for someone who can approve the fiscal transactions, what's the specific name of that role?
So we just have people set up as a backup department leader. So it'd be the same type of role as what we currently have. I would suggest talking with whoever, either your SFO or finance manager or someone of that level in your college. Because every college is set up differently. So I don't want to speak for else at that point.
Could it be like a dean and an associate dean, like on a regional campus? Could we be each other's backup, or would you?
Potentially,
okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. Hey, and speaking of travel and purchasing, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel now. Rachel, do you want to share your own screen, or would you like me to just go ahead and continue with this one for you?
If you just want to go ahead, keep
Okay,
sharing,
perfect.
and I'll kind of just we'll kind of just wing it. We'll figure it
That's
out.
fine. Hey, am I showing this to you guys in full screen too? I just want to make sure this is okay. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure. I pulled it down for a second. I thought, am I showing you this full screen? So good. Just wanted to check. So yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. We're going to talk a little bit about traveling and purchasing and a couple of other fiscal items for you as well.
Yes. All right. So thank you. So we've kind of set up and we did kind of start talking about travel and purchasing. So we'll go ahead and kind of move on. And I think a little bit what we kind of started touching about is, so the manager liaison initiator role that we just talked about is for HR, but there's a role for finance called the expense data entry specialist, is someone who can enter travel or expenses on your behalf. So again, this is only for the fiscal side of the house. Most administrative assistants will be able to submit. They again have to have that security role. When they enter a request for your travel, your supervisor in Workday will just receive a notification. There's no action, but they do receive a notification. This expense data entry specialist can enter an expense report on your behalf, but just want to let you know before it's sent for reimbursement, Workday, you will get to certify it. So you will have to make sure that it's correct. It's what you expected. A couple other things here quickly about some purchasing is, so rather than e-stores, which is what we use today, there's going to be a new application called Buckeye Buy. And so again, your administrative assistant can make these purchases on your behalf. And we're encouraging people to use Buckeye Buy whenever possible. We still do have P cards if you're familiar with those. The university PNC P card programs remaining the same. Sponsored program or Amex cards will now be replaced by research PNC cards. And we'll still have department cards that you can continue to check out via the P card log process. Just a reminder, they can only be checked out for university business. And if there's expense in question, the P card manager can consult with the finance team in your college or unit. There's also individual cards that would be used in the same manner as they are today. And this expense data entry specialist role can assist with expense reporting for any of the cards, including research cards. Okay, so I think we've talked a little bit about this, but to kind of recap what approver responsibility should be, they should have that ability to say no and escalate it if it would need to be appropriate. They need to have knowledge of policies and procedures. They should understand their budget or their FDM structure. FDM is probably a new term for everyone. It stands for Foundation Data Model. We also sometimes say it stands for Financial Data Model when it comes to the finance side. So in PeopleSoft, you may be familiar with a chart field. You may have an org and a fund. In Workday, they're going to be called work tags, which are going to be put together to identify your funding. Your SFO or finance team in your college or VP units can help you understand the new work tags specifically for each of your units. And a couple other things is they should ensure the completeness of the transaction and making sure to check that business purpose. And lastly, knowing if that funding happens to be restricted, just understand the nature of that funding and whether it's appropriate to spend. Examples of that may be gifts, so endowment or development funds, making sure we're spending those appropriately. So moving on. So we have a slide here that talks about, for the finance side, fiscal side, what the department leader will approve. As you can see, that department leader, the definition, it's a security role. It's assigned to usually chairs, vice chairs, assistant and associate deans, eventually, potentially vice provost or senior directors. They will need to approve all spend authorizations, which is going to be your travel request in current day. They would need to approve purchase request, which can be anything from internal order, special request that are over $2,500, or if they're over $200 in a high risk category. High risk categories, we can make sure to send out in the follow-up, but examples like that are gift cards, business meals, conference registration, things that are more in the personal of nature is what they kind of consider a high risk category. And again, we can send out that exact list when they send out the follow-up. And any internal order that's over $3,000. So there is a, right here, it says usually the SFO or finance director can be delegated as a backup approver for department leader. So I know, Jim, I think you asked kind of a question. There's that answer there as well. But again, there could be a backup department leader depending on how your college or unit is set up.
So that backup approver can work in parallel with me and approve anything that I can approve, including those things that are above 2,500.
Yep.
Okay.
So we've got, want to show you kind of this pre-travel process and kind of let you see this process really quickly and let you see as the department leader where you are in the process. So you see the spend authorization is submitted. That notification will be sent to a supervisor. Your cost center manager is going to approve first, and then it's going to come to you to approve. So you need to really be reviewing it for that appropriate business purpose and understand that you're the one who kind of authorizes that traveler to leave campus. And once you approve, the service center does review it for compliance, but that kind of allows that traveler to let them know that their travel is approved and they can start doing all of their prepay and travel arrangements. And as we talked about before, When an item comes into your Workday inbox, you are going to receive that email. And just so you know, the process will not move on unless you take an action, or if you have a backup, if someone in that role takes the action. But if there is no one as your backup, if you do not approve it, it will sit there until you're ready to approve. So moving on to the post-travel side, you want to hit that one more time, Janine? There you go. We'll fill the whole slide there. So there's two examples with the post-travel. If an expense report is created, and as long as it's under 20% and there's no high-risk spending, it's going to go through as normal. You would not be involved in that process. Where potentially you could be involved is if there is over $200 in a high-risk category. An example of this could be a business meal. Maybe your development office, does something and it's over $200. Then you would have to approve the expense report side. And as we mentioned earlier, if someone enters an expense report on your behalf, like an expense data entry specialist, you as the traveler would be expected to certify your expense report before it moves on to the next step. So that's kind of talking about travel. And we've got P-card as our last example here. And again, just kind of showing you that you would be the last one to approve if something's over $2,500 or over $200 in that high risk category. I know we just covered a lot kind of rather quickly. If there's questions, feel free to put anything in the chat. But I think we're going to go ahead and kind of move on just for time and maybe answer some questions here at the end. So kind of wanted to show you, there is a role called a senior leader. As you can see, this is going to be assigned to the president, provost, deans of your colleges, and senior VPs. So they will approve all requests made by the individual with the department leader security role. So if you actually make the request, and they could potentially need to approve for very high dollar transactions. All right, so we covered kind of the purchasing and travel, and we're going to talk about reporting here really quickly. So as we kind of talked about, reports in Workday are going to be based on real-time data. So as transactions are occurring, reports are going to be updated constantly to reflect these transactions. So additionally in Workday, you can pull up a report if you want more information. You can click on that data element and you'll be able to be presented with additional information right in that system. You won't have to go out to a separate system. Many of these reports, and we also have dashboards, which are a collection of reports, will be cross-functional and they'll bring together aspects from data and HR, payroll, finance, and supply chain. There's example, there is a chair dashboard that displays some faculty information, some budget information and advancement reports. There's a financial managerial dashboard, there's grants management dashboards, there's lots of different options. So one thing I wanted to share, some faculty and staff will now have broader access to financial reporting to help support some of that decision making. And it's going to let faculty and staff who maybe don't currently use Ohio State's e-reports, allows them to be able to get in and view reports easier. So in Future State, you have direct access to Workday reports, allowing you to view relevant financial data. To ensure the appropriate data is available, the financial data will be open across campus cost centers to accommodate the ability to view shared funding and interdisciplinary research across the colleges. One thing we do want to note, as we talked about earlier, it's been 20 years since we've updated any of our finance systems. So just keep in mind, we are learning new terms. And so fiscal staff has to rethink how to do some fiscal terms and using those Workday terms that potentially are all brand new. And we are converting in the middle of a fiscal year. So things are not going to be perfect. It's going to take a little while for us to iron out those details. To operate exactly how we're expecting. So there will be some additional time set up for you to be able to review available reports at the start of Workday. Okay, so The next important thing, I'm sure lots of questions, is how can you get assistance? If you have questions, where can you go? So for starters, you can reach out to your administrative assistant. They can call the help desk on your behalf, and your questions will be routed as a VIP. You can also reach out to your senior HR business partner, SFO, finance director, anyone kind of in that college leadership to ask questions that would be appropriate. Each college VP unit has a change coordinator, so you can reach out to them as another great resource. And finally, if you're interested in more of a self-service option, you can always welcome to access the Administrative Resource Center, where there's a variety of job aids, demos, and quick reference guide. This is replacing our current day assist pages. All right. So we're going to kind of end with talking about leading through change. With Workday Go Live, there's a lot of change that's coming. To lead through the change, it's going to be important that you are informed and also very encouraging. We know things are not going to be perfect on day one. It is going to take a while for people to get used to the system before we can truly experience those benefits. People are going to feel frustrated or discouraged during the first few weeks of Go Live. We know this is normal and to be expected. So these feelings and experiences shouldn't be ignored. So as a leader, there's a few things we'd recommend. Number one, to review the Workday leader briefings. These include items that are important for you to know as leaders. We want you to encourage training. I know we've been hearing that feedback that people don't have time to take this training because they're so busy with other tasks and are concerned they won't be able to get their training completed before Go Live. While we want you to know we will not be revoking anyone's access to Workday because they didn't complete the training, the transition to Workday is going to be a lot smoother if people are able to complete the training. Your change coordinator is going to be a great resource to share some of your current completion rates for your units, your college. And if people need help making time, maybe considering helping them carve out time, maybe having a meetingless morning or a meetingless Monday, potentially, for example. And you're going to want to talk to your leadership teams on how people are doing and feeling about upcoming changes. Letting people talk about their feelings helps go a long way in helping people through change. And if you're hearing things, we ask you to please pass this on to the project team. That'll help. They want to hear questions, concerns, comments to help them shape what they're doing better or what they could be doing differently. All right, so we're going to talk about preparing the faculty here really quick. So as you can see on the screen, there's some available training for faculty that is out there. We want you to be aware that some key changes are all HR personnel information, all of that's going to go through Workday. So what Janine showed you, the same is going to be for faculty. For grants management, faculty who use Workday, faculty who are PIs will use Workday to manage their grants. So this could be internal, non-OSP or OSP grants. So they're going to have greater access to this data on their grants by using Workday. And again, travel and purchasing is going to be the same thing that we talked about earlier. There is some available training that's found on the Enterprise Project website under the faculty and staff section. And they can click on these links and have access to these videos and e-learning. And just want to point out that there is a grants management dashboard as well for any faculty member who is a PI. Okay. So we want to say thank you for your participation today. We know we presented a lot of content, and while you may not remember everything, there's 3 things that we hope you can take out of this. Number 1, you can always ask for help. You can go through the self-service option on the Administrative Resource Center or reach out to your administrative assistant, college, or change coordinators. We encourage you as a leader to listen to concerns, share your feedback, ask questions, and let us know what you're hearing. Just remember, we're all in this together, and change is going to take time. Things are not going to be perfect on day 1. People need to get used to the system and how it operates in this new world. Just remember, this is normal, and we encourage patience. Okay. So I think we kind of covered this step. There is as we mentioned, as your PI, there is a grants management dashboard. I believe those sessions have already happened, but there is a recording available in Buckeye Learn. And we'd like to encourage anyone who'd like to take additional Workday training. You can visit the Enterprise Project website, go to About Training, and add anything to your own Buckeye Learn transcript that you would like to take. That's the end of our presentation. Was there any questions we can try to answer here quickly?
We didn't have anything hit the chat recently, Rachel, but if anybody has some questions, I can hang around on the line for a few minutes and help answer any questions. So feel free to drop them here in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself. We'd love to hear from you.
Could I ask them
Everybody, this has
about,
been great.
oh.
I've got to jump off for another call.
Okay, great. Thanks, Latonia. Have a good one.
Bye.
I also have to hop off. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Jim. Dawn, go ahead.
Some of our supervisors took the manager Workday training, but I wasn't assigned that. Should I have been? How do you determine who? Is that a very different than the leader training, or is it a lot like this?
So the managers got assigned their campus managers training. You are taking today's session in lieu of that session.
Okay, so it's a lot of the same material. Okay.
So very similar, but this session is specifically designed for you as kind of in that department, the Workday security role department leader, right?
Okay.
So it's maybe a little bit higher level than maybe what your managers are getting. If you'd like to take that training, you're welcome to do that. There is a recording out on the Workday About training page for that if you want to see what they're seeing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful, and I love the little tool. I love that you can actually play with your own data. It's great. The org chart is really fun.
Yeah, the org chart is fun.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Dawn, Nadia, have a great one, and best of luck to you as we move into the holiday season and into the Workday world. And we're here if you guys need anything.
Thanks again. Stay safe, you guys. Happy holidays.